Okay, I want to talk about DarkSky API now. Now, this is a fantastic library for getting weather forecast data. It works with a whole bunch of different languages. I'm going to be talking about it specifically in reference to JavaScript, but we're going to be writing some JavaScript code to make a fetch call to the DarkSky API and get back some weather data. This is the website, darksky.net. To use this API, you need to register as a developer with them, so you can sign up. If you come to darksky.net/dev, it will get you into the developer portion of the website. Up on the top, there'll be a link for signing up or logging in once you've created your account. And once you sign up, you'll be given an API key. So it's like a 32-character string. It looks something like this. You can update your key every once in a while. I'm going to be using my current key, and I will be resetting it after I make this video, so it won't be out there for everybody to use, but for my examples it should work. With this call, so you would make a fetch an AJAX request to this URL, where you provide the base URL and then your key, so developer key, followed by, at the very least, the latitude, comma, longitude. This will return to you a JSON file. So here's an example of what comes back. You get latitude, longitude, your time zone. Currently is the weather currently, so all the information about the weather at this location at that current time. So here's the timestamp. It's important to note here that this timestamp is seconds, not milliseconds, since the start of the Unix epoch. So in JavaScript, we're used to working with milliseconds for the timestamp, but the timestamp that comes back in here is in seconds. So divide whatever you're thinking by 1,000 and you'll get the proper number here. So we have current weather, and then minutely there will be a array inside the property data, which gives you a whole series of objects for every minute for the next hour. The hourly, by default, provides you with 48 hours. I'm going to show you how you can pass a parameter up to get 168 hours instead of 48 hours. There's a daily, which will give you the next, I believe it's 10 days worth of weather data. Alerts, so if there are special weather alerts for your area, those will come through. And then some flags at the bottom, some basic data like what units were used. US using imperial units, or CA using metric, SI for the SI notation, which is very similar to Canada. There's a couple of parameters which are different between the two of them. I think one has to do with wind speed being expressed in kilometers per hour as opposed to meters per second. There's a few little minor differences like that. We'll talk about some of the other parameters like language that we can pass up. Okay, so here's the basic request. Let's get into the code and make a request and get some actual weather data back. Now, I'm not going to bother with the web page because the DarkSky server does not allow CORS requests. So you cannot be on a different web server or have your web pages served from a different web server and make a direct request to DarkSky to get the data back. You do need to have some sort of pass-through set up. So I can make a request from my web page up to a web server where I have a PHP or Ruby or Node file that's running. I can make a request to my server, no problem, and there's no CORS issues, there's no cross-origin problems, no security restrictions. And then my server-side page, the PHP, Ruby, Node, whatever it is, that page can make a request to darksky.net and bring it back. And then my page will return the JSON that DarkSky gave me back to my web page, back to my AJAX request. The other way around this is what I'm going to be doing here as an example. I'm going to be writing my code directly in Node. So because I'm not inside the browser, I don't have the same cross-origin security restrictions. I can just make a direct request. Now, these notes up at the top of the file, I'll have this file in the code just for you guys, and I'll leave that in the comments for this video. But what I wanted to really point out before we get started here is, because I'm doing this on Node, and the fetch, that's part of what the browser supports with JavaScript. It's not part of core JavaScript. It's something that's been added to the Web API. So Node.js does not by default have fetch. We will need to add it. So you will have to, on your command line, on your terminal, in the folder where you're writing your Node file, if you want to follow along with this, you'll have to do npm install node-fetch. That will install node fetch in your current folder. You will see a node modules folder will appear, and inside that will be the node fetch folder with the JavaScript files that you need. So we want to install this, and then inside of our node file, to make this work, we're going to set a variable called fetch equal to require node fetch. This JavaScript file is going to return to us an object called fetch, which we can then call upon like this, fetch, and pass in a request. There's a few other things for headers, requests, things like that, form data. You will have to make an addition and say fetch.request, fetch.form data, and so on when you create these new objects. All right, I've defined the basics of this page to make a test call to JSON placeholder, which is a site I love to use all the time. I'm sure if you've seen my other videos, you've seen this come up quite a few times. I'm going to be making a basic request for 10 users coming back as JSON, and then I'm just going to do a loop. So my response, as long as it comes back okay, can extract the JSON from it, pass it to the next function, and then I'm going to loop through the array of users, and I'm going to write out their ID, username, and name for each one of them. So let's try this out and just make sure that this is working for me. I better save my changes. Okay, great. So I know that this basic functionality is working. I've got node fetch installed because I did npm install node fetch, and I'm requiring it. I'm doing fetch.request to set up my request object. This is working, and this loop is working to write this out. All right, I know that that basic stuff is working. Now, instead of this, what I want to do is I want to make a call to DarkSky. And so I set up these ahead of time. This is my current key that I'm going to be using, and my latitude and longitude right here. These are the this is the location of Algonquin College in Ottawa. I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to say let URI equal DarkSky. So that's this basic part plus key plus I'm going to need a slash, and then the latitude, and then a comma, and then the longitude. Okay, there is the full URL. So let's log this out, URI, just to make sure I see what I'm getting. I'm going to remove this for the moment. Just console log JSON data provided. But I know I've got to this part. If I see this message appearing, I know that my fetch was successful. I got a valid response HTTP status code. It converted it into JSON and passed it on to here. So I know all that worked if I see this JSON data provided message. And I'm going to be writing out the URL that I'm requesting. Okay, there we go. It worked. This was the URL that I requested with my key, my latitude, my longitude, and I got back here. So what is the data that I'm getting back? Well, if we jump back into here, you can see I've got all of these various things. So let's grab a couple of things. Inside of the object, there's a property called currently. Inside of currently, there's a summary and a temperature. So let's grab those two things, summary and temperature inside of currently. Okay, this is my JSON, this J dot currently dot temperature. There we go. j.currently dot summary. Those are the two fields that I wanted. Let's try this again. There we go. 77.29 degrees. That's in Fahrenheit. So not what I wanted right now, but it is a valid number coming back. And partly cloudy. Looking outside, yes, it is indeed partly cloudy. Okay, fantastic. Now, I don't want 77.29 degrees Fahrenheit. I want Celsius. So how do I add that? Well, at the end of my URI here, we can add parameters. So I'm going to append to the end of that, or actually I'll use the concat method, the string concat method. I'm going to be adding to the end of this string, the one that's being written out right here. I'm going to add question mark units equal CA. That will append this to the end of the URI, and that means the weather data that I'm getting back should be provided to me in Celsius for the temperature. Hey, there we go. All right, 25.06 degrees Celsius. It is partly cloudy. Doesn't matter where you are, or if you're using Celsius or the imperial system, the metric or the imperial system, partly cloudy is partly cloudy. Okay, let's look at the hourly data. That's a little bit more useful for us. So we've got all of these various summary properties inside of currently. And then we've got these other arrays, minutely, hourly, daily. Well, maybe I don't want to get all of these things. Maybe I don't want minutely and hourly and daily. So there's a property called exclude, where I can say, you know what, I don't want minutely. Let's reduce the amount of traffic going over my network. I don't want minutely, I don't want hourly, I only want daily. Let's go with that. Inside here, more query string parameters. I'm going to say exclude equals minutely, comma, hourly. I don't want those values coming back. Oh, actually, we're going to have to output something here so we can see that we didn't get that. Console.log, let's say j dot, well, let's just do the whole thing. It's going to be a big block of data, but I'm going to truncate this just to show the before and after version of it. Boom, okay, here we are. Oh, there at the bottom, units CA, great, that's what we passed in. We haven't included the exclude parameter, so I should get minutely and hourly as well as there's daily, hourly, minutely, and currently. Okay. Time zone, America, Toronto. Yeah, that's the time zone. It's Eastern Standard Time. Offset -4. This is the difference between my current time and the time in Greenwich, England right now. Zulu time or UTC time. There's the latitude, longitude that I passed up. You can see that the values are the same. There's my timestamp past the 1.5 trillion mark. Summary partly cloudy. And wind speed. That is in kilometers per hour, I believe, for the Canadian. And the index is 5. It's fairly low. Okay. Let's get rid of minutely and hourly to reduce the amount of data that we're getting back. Script that out. Save. Come down here and run this again. Okay, flags, units, CA at the bottom again. There's the daily. And there's the currently. Okay, so we have stripped out minutely and hourly. Fantastic. So let's find out for daily data. Let's find the first thing inside of here, daily data, and then the first object. Let's write that out. J.data. array has a property inside of it called data, and we want the very first point. We're going to write out all of that. Okay. There's our URL. There's the temperature, part of the cloud. Oh, it's gone up a degree. How about that? And here is the object that was inside of the first day. So light rain starting in the afternoon, continuing until evening, the icon. So they provide names for the icons. This isn't a PNG or a GIF or a JPEG or any sort of actual image file. This is just a label. So if you have an icon set yourself in your CSS, you can give them labels, class names attached to the possible icons that you get back here. So you can take the value of the icon field and use that to point to a CSS class, which will give you an appropriate icon for you to display on your web page. Sunrise, sunset, yeah, great. Temperature min, temperature max. We're almost at the temperature max. I guess we're approaching the time for that temperature max. Humidity, 0.8. Wind speed. Cloud cover. Yeah, okay. So here's all the possible information about the weather today, because this is in number 0. I change that to number 1, and I run this again. Here's the weather for tomorrow. Rain in the morning and afternoon. Geez, this is not looking like a good forecast. Okay, so we've got the units we've talked about. CA, SI, US are possible values that we could put inside here. So units, we can say it's going to be CA or SI or US or UK. We've got the exclude, where we can list the minutely, hourly, daily, whichever ones we want to exclude. All, or actually I believe we can also exclude the currently if you don't want that. So pick and choose what you want. Lang. This is another very useful one. Not everybody in the world speaks English. So, if you were wanting to display information such as partly cloudy in other languages, we can add a lang parameter where we specify what language we want this. Now, we don't have every language in the world available to us, but down here we go. This is the list of possible languages. So, if you come to the Dev Docs forecast page, you can see which languages. English, which is the default. If you don't specify a parameter, that's what you get. But Spanish, German, Swedish, Russian, Turkish, there are quite a few, and even Pig Latin. How about that? So if I come back into my code and at the end here I say ampersand, I want lang to be Swedish. So that's svenska. That's the one that I want to use. I'm going to remove daily as well. So, oh no, I'm using that, aren't I? Yeah, we'll just leave it like that. All right, Canadian units, minutely, hourly, and in Swedish. For this, and we're going to run again. There we go. Yes, right. We're starting right here. So lightly cloudy, rain in the morning, and until afternoon. I believe that's what that says. Rain. There's nothing else really. It's mostly the summary, the descriptions that we're going to get that will have comments in the multiple languages. Numeric values, those are going to be the same. Let's run it again in Russian. There we go. Большая облачность. Дождь утром и днем. So rain in the morning and during the day. All right, so summary we're getting in multiple languages. All right, that's about really all you need to know. Anything beyond this, we're looking at these arrays of data. We're looping through them and extracting the bits and pieces that you want. It's all just a matter of knowing what these fields are, and you can always use the website here, which has examples of what's inside of each one. So just make sure that you've got the correct, and these are case sensitive, the correct field names so that you can drill down minutely. Data is the array, and then which one are the elements from inside of this you want. All right, as always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and thanks very much for watching.